What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40k. So, if you guys have been reading the Horus Heresy from beginning to end, maybe skipping a couple books, one of the novels that you must read is that of Angel Exterminatus. This pits one of my favorite characters that I would have never thought would become my favorite, and that is Lucius, who becomes Lucius the Eternal from the Emperor's Children. And this dude is such a badass. He's an expert swordsman to the point where he just wants to perfect his craft over and over and over again by fighting the strongest. And here we see him maybe meet somebody that not only matches his strength, but also may be able to surpass him in swordsmanship. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and read this awesome passage, Angel Exterminatus. Lucius saw the shadow bearing down on him an instant before it struck. He twisted to avoid whatever was coming at him, but he wasn't fast enough. The impact was like being hit by a siege hammer, and the air was driven from his lungs as the swooping warrior slammed into the deck. He rolled as a black-bladed sword sliced down, and he blocked another with instinctual speed. Lucius saw a figure in black lunge at him, and rolled his wrists to bring his blades together in a blocking cross. He twisted his grip and spun on the heels to deliver a killing strike to his opponent's throat. His blade struck razor-edged steel, and only a desperate parry kept his own head on his shoulders as a silent blade came at him. Lucius was impressed, pleased to have found a warrior who knew which end of the sword to use. Most other opponents would have lost their weapons in his first block. "You have some skill," he said as they circled one another. The warrior didn't reply, and only then did Lucius notice that this was no Iron Hand Space Marine. "Raven Guard," he said, recognizing the grip, stance, and angle of the blades favored by Corax's shadow warriors. "That explains why you're still alive." The Raven Guard attacked in a daring series of blinding feints, high cuts, and dazzling fast thrusts that Lucius parried, dodged, and backed away from in an increasingly swift-paced duel. The warrior wasn't just skilled, he was talented, gifted even. "I haven't killed any little black birds in a while," giggled Lucius. "Since Istvan, at least." The warrior didn't react to Lucius's goading, which marked him as even more skilled than he had thought. Realizing he would not easily get a rise out of the Raven Guard, Lucius put aside his need to humiliate his opponent. Time and time again, they came at each other, spinning like dancers locked in a routine that could only end in the death of one of the performers. Lucius studied the warrior as they fought. His movements were like oil in the air, a slick progression of flowing poise. His blade work, flawless, technically perfect, but empowered by an innate understanding of the art of the sword. With a start, Lucius realized that this warrior was almost his equal. A jolt of uncertainty flooded Lucius at the thought that the warrior may have a chance of besting him. He laughed, giddy at finally having a worthy enemy, his every nerve surging at the idea of defeat, but even the possibility was so remote as to be next to impossible. That such a possibility existed at all was reason enough to revel in it. "My friend," he said, parrying a low strike to the groin and riposting with a playful strike to the head. "Your name, I must know it." The warrior responded with a viper-swift lunge to the neck and a spinning cut through the throat. Angry now, Lucius batted away the strike and slashed at the Raven Guard's wrist. A black blade turned the blow aside, and a counter-strike of uncanny speed cut a groove in the eagle on Lucius's pauldron. "Answer me, damn you," snapped Lucius, and another stinging cut slipped past his defenses to open a deep gash on his cheek. Astounded, Lucius broke the circle of the duel and lowered his weapons in astonishment. Blood dripped from his face, and his anger vanished in an ecstatic burst of happiness. "You have wounded me," he said, amazed and thrilled at the same time. "You actually wounded me. Do you know how rare that is?" Before the warrior could answer, not that Lucius really expected him to, another figure burst into the circle of the duel and barreled him to the ground. Lucius fell hard, losing his grip on his swords and striking his head on a buckled deck plate. Through the haze of blood and dizziness, he saw a blur of pink and gold throw itself at the Raven Guard swordsman. The new arrival swung a pair of swords in a beheading cut, and even through a red veil of blood, Lucius recognized the clumsy blade work of Bastarnae Ambraxi. The Raven Guard ducked below the blow and spun around his attacker. His swords plunged into Ambraxi's midriff, in the gap between his backplate and cutlet. Ambraxi gutted in pain. Before he could do more to spin his face to the attacker, his throat was opened by one blade, and the top of his skull by another. He fell dead, and Lucius laughed to see him so humiliated. He doubted even Fabius could undo that kind of damage. The Raven Guard didn't pause to enjoy his kill, and sprang forwards to finish off Lucius. But the fates, it seemed, had purpose yet for him. A blue-hot dome of electric fire exploded in the center of the embarkation deck, sending a booming thunderclap of displaced air through the arced chamber like a shockwave of an atmospheric munition. The Raven Guard stumbled, and Lucius tasted the bitter metallic taste of teleportation energy. He blinked away, the after-images of multiple light sources and phantom echoes of things that have never existed. The fighting in the embarkation deck ceased as the blue light vanished. In its place stood Perabo, within a circle of robotic guardians. And there you have it, guys. This pretty much pits the first part of this battle to an end, but we see just how interesting it is to see two expert swordsmen fight in a one-on-one battle. It is no surprise that Ambraxi just got annihilated by this guy. So this just goes to show you the level of expertise that this Raven Guard character has that Lucius can tie with. So any other Space Marine is just going to fall to these literal gods of swordsmanship. Now, the reason why I didn't say the name of the Raven Guard is because obviously if you want to read this book, go ahead. But I will warn you in 3, 2, 1, this is none other than Nikona Sharokin. And this guy is a beast. He continues on in the later books of the Heresy. So definitely keep your eyes on this guy. He is a badass. And Lucius, of course, we all know what happens to him. So let me know your thoughts on this epic duel between two master swordsmen, and let me know if there's any other duel akin to this that you want me to cover. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We also have another channel all about Q&As for the Greater War. So if you're wondering where those went, it's another channel. So just search up For the Greater War, and we'll be right there answering your questions. But for now, that's all I got. It's been the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.